You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. Shea Dixon joins us as he does every Tuesday. How are you, Shady?
I'm doing well. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing awesome, man. Hey, a big weekend for the Tigers. They land Derek Meadows, miss on Jabari Antoine. Let's get a thought on both those. With the addition of Meadows and already having Teron Francis, is LSU done at receiver for this class?
No, they'll want more than two. And look, they've got now the number one receiver in Louisiana, rankings-wise, in Teron Francis out of Ednacar, and then a top 10 receiver, but not one that we had talked about a ton, in Derek Meadows. It ends up being the guy out of Bishop Gorman, who's ranked number one in Nevada, but the number 7 overall receiver in the country. And Corian Moore at one point had committed. Guys like Khalil Lockett and Jamie French have made visits, and they're 5-star receivers who remain uncommitted, and others have committed to other schools that visited. But they got in on Derek Meadows and beat out Notre Dame, who was the presumed longtime favorite. Look, LSU only got a couple of visits out of Meadows. He said he had gone to Notre Dame, I think he'd counted 8 or 9 times during his recruiting process. Originally, he's from the Midwest, from Michigan. So Bryce Underwood chipped in here. Obviously, Cortez Hankton and Joe Sloan get some credit. And I think you see what that's the selling point of a top-ranked class, an offense that finished number 1. A couple more first-rounders at receiver, and then having a quarterback like Underwood, the number 1 overall prospect in the country, being part of the pitch to come to LSU was enough for Derek Meadows to pick the Tigers. And look, Bama, Georgia, there were other teams in the mix here beyond Notre Dame. Now, I don't think 2 receivers will be enough, certainly not in the portal era, and even then, they have a talented receiver, not a super deep one right now. So what's next? I'd say in Louisiana, you always watch somebody. Phillip Wright would be that guy. He's going to be a senior at Destrehan. Obviously, a ton of Destrehan guys have gone to LSU. They recently got a commitment from a Destrehan player in Jace Thomas, and one of his fellow 2025 classmates is Wright, and he's committed to Michigan right now, committed earlier this month, but they've really turned up the heat on him here, I'd say, over the course of the spring and into the summer. So he's the guy I'm watching, and then can they pull off another one of these Derek Meadows types? Like what happens with a guy like Khalil Lockett, a guy like Jamie French, who is a 5-star, yes, lives in Jacksonville, but his mom grew up in the Felicianos. She went to Southern. They have a lot of families still living in the area. So can they kind of pull off, maybe not a surprise, but another really big fish? We'll see, but a very nice, solid kind of 1-2 punch here at receiver for him.
Shea, on the flip side, on Saturday, they missed out on Jabari Antoine, who picked Miami. First of all, do you think that's done? Because there seems to be some thought that LSU will keep pressing and maybe could get Antoine in this class.
You know, I think that it's always kind of a wait until signing day with Louisiana guys, certainly. We've seen them flip a number of guys late. Look, Dominic McKinley, the 5-star, was committed to Texas A&M for much of this process and ends up being a late flip. So you monitor these guys all the way until the end. Now, he had been committed to LSU since January, and Matt, when a guy decommits and then in very short order announces or reveals that, hey, I'm going to make a new college announcement here in a couple of weeks, and I've got a top 3, what are your chances of regaining that commitment in short order? Pretty low. Now, LSU, after they got DJ Pickett, kind of turned up the heat and said, hey, if you want in, get in. But Antoine stuck with it. The plan was going to be Miami. That's who he committed to. And I'll say this, they will recruit him to signing day, but I talked to Aiden Anding for a bit today on the phone, the Ruston High cornerback, also a rising senior, and he recently got an offer about a month ago, right before he was going to announce a commitment. He was going to go to Texas, but paused on that, got an LSU offer, and now that the dead period is going to be over, he will be at the Bayou Splash this weekend. And he's a guy I think that with Jabari Antoine at Miami, I would keep a very close eye on to join a guy like DJ Pickett potentially as the next corner in the class.
Is Aiden Anding a guy, he's a 3-star Shea, but is that one of those guys who maybe late developer, and as he moves through his senior year, you probably expect that star rating. I mean, I'm just looking at the offers he has, right? I mean, LSU and Texas and Arkansas, Miami, and TCU. It's big name schools. So is that one of those things where maybe the star rating continues to climb throughout his senior year?
I won't be surprised if he's a 4-star in the next kind of wave of rankings updates, and not just because of the offers, but as people look kind of a little bit more at him. I mean, there's so many guys out there that you have to evaluate, and when you dive deeper into Aiden, I mean, he's a 3-sport athlete, as he was saying today. It could have been 4 if he could play baseball and fit it into his season, or I guess kind of annual calendar, but track, football, basketball, very nice verified track stuff, and he's got the film. Look, I'm not talking about huddle highlights. I mean, you watch complete games of him playing, and he is well coached. He's physical, and shows that he's a really good athlete. And kind of one thing I like, same with Destrahan and a lot of other guys, he's on a Ruston defense that's been one of the best defenses in the past couple of years. They have churned out FBS talent. So I think he comes in as not even a deep sleeper in Louisiana. It's a guy that, hey, you can't look up in 2 or 3 years, and this is a guy that you're kicking yourself that you didn't offer and you're short on corners or whatever it might be. So yeah, I think that the offer was a good one, and I think his ranking will end up being a 4-star when it's all said and done.
Shea Dixon's with us on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Shea Dixon. Shea, you mentioned that Aiden Anding will be at the Bayou Splash this weekend. Give us a little bit of background on where we are on the calendar, what the Bayou Splash is.
So it's LSU's annual recruiting event. We've been in a month-long dead period. That ends Thursday. So starting Thursday, teams around the country have kind of one final big recruiting get-together, invite-only type thing, where there's no working out or anything like that. You just come in with family or whomever it might be and hang out with the staff, the commits, the top targets. And really, last year, it was funny that it was kind of a blend. It was about what was going to happen for this current class, right? Like that was when Bryce Underwood popped up on campus at the event, and DeCorian Moore was there, and they end up getting those guys committed. Obviously, DeCorian didn't stick, but a number of guys for the future. And this weekend they'll have that. Jakeem Stewart, the number 1 overall prospect in America, coming out of St. Aug, is going to be on campus. So there'll be that going on. But I was thinking back on it, Matt, and last year's Bayou Splash was very popular with LSU fans. On the Bengal Tiger, gosh, I think it was our most viewed thread of the year just because people were having fun with that many top guys being on campus. But I think they were ranked like 7 or 8 at the time, and everyone debated if they could finish top 5, and they did. But they were more excited that, like guys like Underwood were on campus. And I think this time around, LSU, Matt, is ranked number 3. They've been ranked number 1 for months during this recruiting cycle. And you're getting guys to campus this weekend in this current class, like Jonah Williams, the number 1 safety, a 5-star multi-sport guy who Jay Johnson on the baseball side kind of helped pitch with the recruiting angle when he came on his football official visit. But we're talking about a guy coming out of Galveston that is the number 1 safety in the country, a top 15, 20 prospect as a 5-star. And then building on what is right now with 18 commits, I went back and looked. They haven't had 18 commits and had 16, large number of them, Matt. 16 of the 18 commits are 4-stars or 5-stars, and not just 4-stars or 5-stars, but in the On300, so a top 300 prospect. Mm-hmm. It is the highest blue chip ratio in the country. It's the highest average per commit rating in the country. So when you talk about quality, LSU's there. When you talk about quantity, they're there. They're almost at 20 commits. So I think people are really eager to see how this class caps off and what guys like Jonah Williams and whomever else pops up this weekend that's uncommitted, Aiden Anding being one of them, who else do they add? Because this has a real shot to be the number 1 class in the country.
Shea, I got 2 things for you. One, you brought it up with Jakeem Stewart. We had talked several weeks back, I believe, maybe months ago, about him possibly reclassifying. Is there any update there?
Nothing new. Look, and I don't know if he could pull it off in short order. If he did, I would imagine it's even tougher to be a midterm grad if you haven't announced yet, if you're doing it. And so much about that's coursework, right? Like you've got to make up enough credit hours to graduate and already go to college. They were trying, but I haven't heard anything new there. I won't say I'll rule it out because I haven't asked here as coaches in the past couple of weeks. But last I checked, there was not an expectation that it was going to happen and that he would probably stick with this 2026 class. But we'll see.
Okay, and last thing, you mentioned Jonah Williams. They're the number one safety in the country for 2025. You know, Shea, I was talking to some baseball people yesterday, and I had one scout literally say to me, he's a bigger version of Dion. I mean, this is a top half of round one guy in next year's baseball draft, if he sticks baseball. Is there any feeling, I don't know to whatever degree you know, what the possibility or probability is of him actually showing up on a college campus and being a two-sport guy in college as opposed to just getting broke off next summer in the baseball draft?
I think it's high, and I think we can know that more than ever. And look, I do not know this to be fact, but I've talked to enough people who say that where his slot value in baseball would be, and kind of that number over the next 3 years, let's say that you would have been in college or that you would be in college, is where teams are approaching him with NIL. And okay. I don't know if that's going to be first-round type money, but, you know, if you're in these NIL packages in like Oregon, you know, a number of big teams are on him. So there's kind of been some chatter that, hey, look, they're coming from the baseball side, the football side. And I'm not, look, I don't know as much as you or Han or any of the guys about baseball, but football-wise, I will say that I asked someone kind of not realizing, oh, man, I realize he's a really good two-sport athlete, a five-star, but the number one safety is kind of just now dawning on me. And they said, oh, this is a Jamal Adams. This is a Grant Delpit. This is a complete next-level safety to where those guys don't go in the first round in football unless you are that type of guy, and they felt like Jonah Williams is. So this is a high priority for them. I mean, coming out of East Texas, well, now he's at Ball, which is a Texas A&M heavy school. I've always thought this comes down to LSU and A&M. But, look, all the baseball shakeup at A&M made things interesting, and Texas was never in the picture, and he's going to visit Texas on Thursday and LSU on Friday. So we'll see if the Longhorns don't jump into the mix here.
Shea Dixon, On3, the Bengal Tiger. What a great time to go jump over there at On3, especially with the Bayou Splash this weekend. Shea, we always appreciate the time, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Matt.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.